All right, welcome into Buffalo Plus. Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. You hear Mike Catalana, who's jolly in Orchard Park. The Bills with a win, their first playoff win since 1995. Mike, wasn't always a perfect day, but Josh Allen and this Bills team getting the job done.
Oh, it wasn't perfect. It was entertaining. And for the 6,700 plus who were here, I would say they were a little more entertained than they wanted to be, right? This team looked like it took control in the second half, looked like they had the Colts done. But come on, it's the postseason. Phillip Rivers may one day be a Hall of Fame quarterback. He didn't want to go out this season in this way, and he kept bringing his team back. The Bills kept giving them opportunities, but Allen and company came through. It was entertaining. How about that? And maybe that's the best way to describe it.
The Josh Allen experience, right, Mike? Yeah, this was a game that Jenna, we kind of were waiting for the Bills to wake up.
Yeah.
You know, and it was, I thought the first 28 minutes of this game, the Colts couldn't have drawn it up any better. They controlled the game. They were able to keep Josh Allen off the field. They were able to force punts, and it was kind of interesting to see it all turned on a defensive play is what kickstarted this whole game, Jenna.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we saw from today was just the fact that we even said it at the half. I was like, wow, the Colts wished for this game. Even though they were trailing, it felt like the Bills were just waiting. But that defense, especially in that second half, some of those plays that you saw, I mean, Mike, we've known that this defense started off slow this year, but to have the performance that they did, especially here in the playoffs, I mean, what does that just say about their growth and just the clutchness?
Yeah, clutch. That's what they did. They made big plays at big times, like the play, Dan, you just described. It was late in the half. They make it, then the Bills go down and they score the touchdown, and they take the lead. They weren't great today.
No.
I mean, in the second half, they started to give up some chunk plays, you know, and Phillip Rivers was on it today. He was incredibly accurate with his throws, and he pushed them right to the end. But clutch plays, and we've talked about this a lot. That's defense in the now 2021 NFL, right? You're not going to always stop teams, but when you need to get one, they got it done. And Micah Hyde knocked the ball down, right? That's what everybody wanted to see.
It was
at the
poetic
end.
justice.
He knocked it down, wasn't it? On a Hail Mary, because, I mean, they had the worst Hail Mary defense in the NFL. Yeah. But they came up at the right times, and you said it, clutch plays by the defense.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, this was a game that I thought, like Mike said, closer than it should have been.
Yeah.
I thought this was a game, though, that I thought a lot of times last year's Bills team would have folded. And that's what stood out to me was the fact that whether it was the slow start in the first half, I thought they could have been, trailing going into halftime. They could have been down 10-7. They put together a 96-yard drive where the offense finally looks like that. Gabe Davis makes two massive catches.
Yeah.
Like, it was little contributions from everybody.
Yeah,
Josh Allen played really well, but it was the whole supporting cast.
Yeah.
I thought Devin Singletary, Mike, I thought they ran the ball effectively well at times. Now, they did run the ball 3 times in a row, which I almost flipped my desk in the sports office. That was horrific.
Facts.
But I thought this was Sean McDermott talks about it, a total team effort, right, Jenna?
No, and I think they needed to have that. I will say the Colts defense, I was so impressed by because I felt like they had Josh Allen and his teammates kind of running from certain points. It looks like the Bills needed time to settle in, but at the same point, this was, as someone who's covered the team for a little bit, Dan, yourself, Mike, for a long time, like, this would have been a very easy Billsy loss.
Yeah, and you're on point there. In every one of our segments here, Jenna mentions how long I've been covering the team. I was probably standing right in this parking lot in 1995 after they got the win in the playoffs. But honestly, I think the takeaway from this game on the negative side is I really believe the Bills lost the line of scrimmage both ways today. I didn't think the Bills' defensive line was all that impactful. And on the offensive line, Josh Allen had to run a lot. He had to run, and he had to run away from pressure. And it wasn't one of those days that we've seen where Josh is standing back there just waiting and then just zipping passes. He had a few moments like that, but I thought most of the time they were losing that battle on the line of scrimmage. That's something you really got to focus on going forward. Both lines of scrimmage have to play better for this team. but they did find a way to get it done. And you mentioned all those guys coming up with plays. You cannot understate, or you can't overstate, what Gabe Davis did late in that first half. Those 2 plays were massive. The first one, if he doesn't make that play, they could be punting it back to the Colts and maybe even giving up points again before half. So Davis came through. Tyler Bass came through. The rookies making big plays. So, again, contributions from a lot of guys.
It was interesting, too, because, Mike, you talk about Josh running the ball more. Yeah, he was scrambling some, too. There were a lot of designed runs, which is something we haven't seen mainly this year. Maybe not since the Rams game when he ran the ball quite a bit. It was almost like Dable was kind of holding that card. And where teams really kind of throwing a wrinkle. I thought it was interesting to see a lot of designed runs. Obviously, he got in the end zone. Mike, you were talking before the game that you thought Josh Allen would have a successful day running the football.
Yeah, I said I thought he'd run it more than 10 times because he hasn't done that this year. But I will tell you this. I did not anticipate so many called runs and those sweeps. I thought it was going to be more based on the coverage of the Colts, and then Josh just burns them with runs, on those coverage plays where he just decides to take off, big open middle of the field and makes plays. No, they were design runs. I got to tell you something. He's going to be in the hot tub, too. I mean, he took some pretty good shots today. He took a couple in the pass game, took a couple on the sidelines. I know he's big, he's strong, he's tough, he's all those things.
Looks great in shorts.
The quarterback took a lot of hits today. And he was Houston Josh on the fumble.
Yes.
That looked like last year in the playoffs. That ball came loose. That could have been the ball game in reverse,
flashbacks.
Right?
Yeah.
If the Bills don't recover that, and they did. But they did. They survived. They won. Even though few of the calls went their way, a few did not go their way. They found a way to get it done. And it is. The guys talked about it this week, right? It's about surviving and advancing.
Yeah.
I know players talked about that today, too. And that's exactly what they did. They survived. They advanced.
And I think, again, this goes to say that the Bills have been able to win without playing their best game. Look, Phillip Rivers and the Colts used every millisecond of the play clock like 5 different times, okay? So they caught some of their own breaks. But Josh Allen, I thought, said it best after the game. He said, we made enough plays to win, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And it does. Like, it doesn't matter if it's week 3 or if it's the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, no style points.
Like, this was a survive in advance.
Yeah.
You live to see another day, Jenna. And I don't know if we can, Mike, talk about, understanding, overseeing how much this game meant to the fans, to the team. I even thought McDermott was almost choked up a little bit post-game.
Well, even Micah Hyde said post-game, like running out of the tunnel, he had chills in that moment knowing it. And look, I know it wasn't exactly the prettiest game, but like you said, survive and advance, the Bills winning their first playoff game since 1995. Mike, there's still more season to talk about, but how huge is it to get that monkey off their back and have a playoff win?
I'll say it this way. Let's say we're right in this spot talking about this game and somehow they didn't hold on. You would say, here they are twice in the playoffs with double-digit leads, and they couldn't seal the deal. Yeah. And imagine waiting an entire year just to get this opportunity. Look, this team is good enough to go to the Super Bowl. Certainly good enough at least to get to Kansas City if that's where this thing takes them.
Yeah.
But if they would have lost this game, it would have been a massive disappointment, not just the 25-year wait. For this franchise at this time with this quarterback and this team in this season, you could not lose this game. And they didn't. So they advanced. They're back here again next week trying to get to the AFC title game.
I mean, could you imagine what Nick Wright would have to say if the Bills blew another fourth quarter, double-digit lead in the fourth quarter? Man, hey, just objective facts, guys.
Let me tell you something. They would have deserved it.
Yeah, that's
They would have deserved criticism, though. I mean, they had that 14-point lead, and then all of a sudden it's like, I tweeted dagger. Then I thought, oh, my goodness, I gave it to him too soon. But it was a Josh Allen throw. Yeah, well, I thought it was. At the time, it put him up 14. And then, but I will tell you this. I know he's the old man, and I know he's at the end of his career. But I got to tell you, the way that Rivers played today,
Yeah.
he put the ball on the money. He found open guys. He exploited weaknesses in the defense. I'm not saying the Colts gave a game plan to other teams. Pittsburgh, if that's who they play, can't run the ball as well as this Colts team. But I got to tell you, it does make you wake up a little bit and say, you know, I thought this game would be tighter than a lot of people thought. It is the playoffs. Everybody's playing for their life. The Colts played that way, but the Bills did just enough to win.
Yeah. Well, we'll have plenty more to talk about this week as the Bills get ready for the divisional round. Mike Catalana in Orchard Park. Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Be sure to check in on BuffaloPlus.com as well as our YouTube page. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate it. We'll see you this week as the Bills prepare and their season continues on.